Hey everyone, it is Danny and welcome to this update video this afternoon. I hope that you're doing really great. And so we will be taking a look at what is currently going on across the Caribbean and surrounding areas. We'll also be looking at those tropical waves out there. And the end of this month, the middle to end of this month, seems as though it will be getting a lot more active. And then we'll be delving over into the Eastern Pacific where there are two tropical cyclones, one of which is a new storm. And so before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the bell so that you never miss an important video. Alright, and so let us go ahead and take a look at what is happening. Returning to this satellite imagery here, we can see lots of activity popping up across some spots, mostly as a result of that daytime heating. And we have a couple of tropical waves out there. So the main ones we're looking at this afternoon are the ones off the coast of Africa. So that one up there we see a lot of that activity in association with it really just dissipating, no major convective activity. However, as for that next one there, we see that most of that shower and thunderstorm activity, that's convection, is to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And the reason we're seeing this kind of thriving compared to the next one is because all this activity is a bit more south in latitude. So south of that mass of dry air, it's still around, it's still going to infiltrate and result in some dissipation of the activity. And so let's take a look at the dry air map. Here we have it, and that one right there, all of that dry air in the region. So that is where we're not seeing much going on for it. But that second one, we're seeing that activity, as I said, it's in a more conducive environment for those thunderstorms to develop. Overall, nothing is marked out there for development, but we see that the dry air extends across most of the main development region, heading to some spots in the Caribbean as well. And looking at the latest from NHC, no new tropical cyclones are expected during the next 7 days. And I really think that this second wave here is going to eventually be marked. So I think it has a chance of becoming something. So we're going to be looking at what models have to show. But firstly, let's quickly go on to what's happening for the Caribbean and Northern South America. So starting out with Northern South America, as I said, most of that activity as a result of that daytime heating. So lots of moisture, rainfall across some spots in Colombia, Venezuela, and even some isolated activity in parts of the Guyanas as well. Going over into Central America, looking to Panama, there is some activity within the region. ABC Islands, pretty dry, nothing much going on. Similar story for most of the eastern islands of the Caribbean. Trinidad, Tobago, there is some activity nearby, but nothing seen over the country right now. Let's go further up north, and here we can see that there was some thunderstorms closer to the northern islands, the Leeward Islands. So I saw the comments from some of you guys saying that you got a bit of rainfall. That's really good to hear because it has been pretty dry there, and that is one of the advantages of these tropical waves coming by and dumping some rainfall. But of course, when a lot of rainfall is in association with these systems, there is going to be that chance of flooding. So we also have to be aware of that, even though that rainfall is well needed. Look into the other northern islands of the Caribbean, some spots in Jamaica, some thunderstorm activity was developing. Similar story for the Yucatan, going to some parts of Cuba as well, and even up to Florida and the Bahamas and Hispaniola, and some spots in Puerto Rico. We can see that there is some activity in the area. All right, and so now we want to go ahead and take a look at what models have to show in terms of that moisture across the region as we head into the next several days and even over a week from now. So we're starting out with GFS here, and where we see a lot of these shades of greens, that is representing the precipitation rate. So that is where we have that moisture, and this is for Wednesday, the 9th of August. So this coming Wednesday, and we're going to have those two tropical waves we looked at earlier making their way into the vicinity of the Caribbean. And that first one is not going to be as strong, but it could still produce some activity eventually as it makes its way more to the west. Out of most of that dry air, things could be conducive enough to allow for more showers and thunderstorms to develop in association with it, and it could produce some rainfall across some spots in the northeast Caribbean and even for the Turks and Caicos Islands and the Bahamas. And then that next tropical wave coming in to bring all that moisture and that rainfall activity to southeastern islands. And then as we head into Friday of the coming week, really Thursday night going into Friday, we can see all of this increase in activity across the eastern Caribbean. Lots of rainfall expected by the GFS here. And even as we head into the following week, go into Monday the 14th, here we can see lots of moisture across most of the Caribbean. So GFS is expected that things are going to be kicking picking up as we head to the middle part of this month, Wednesday the 16th. Similar story, especially over into the Western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Seeming as though the model wants to have something develop over there, and even heading to Monday the 21st, this goes way out to the latter part of the month. So this, I would say, it isn't impossible because it is typical to see activity kicking up as we head to the end of August, but what we're seeing right now can very well contrast what actually happens when the time actually arrives here. So overall, GFS expecting that increase in moisture, a lot of rainfall across some spots in the Caribbean. Euro going out to the 15th of August, not this Tuesday, but the other one. We're seeing that there is some activity across the Caribbean, likely in association with those waves, another system approaching. And then eventually going on to Icon now. Icon is showing that for Thursday of the coming week, going to the end of the latter part of the coming week, there's going to be those tropical waves moving through. So Icon is in agreement about all that rainfall activity across parts of the Eastern Caribbean. That first wave may be affecting northeastern islands. That second one affecting most islands of the east and southeast. So pretty interesting here. And as I said, I'm looking to see that second one maybe being marked. It might not develop because the models are not expecting something defined as of right now. It will all be dependent on how conducive conditions are. And regardless of it becoming a tropical cyclone or not, either of the waves, it only takes a lot of activity for us to see some significant impacts. There can be heavy rainfall just the same, those strong winds. So that is what we see the models expecting. And now, guys, we want to go ahead and move on to the Eastern Pacific. So we're looking at the ocean basin, and here we can see that there are two active cyclones, a distinct hurricane, Hurricane Dora, tiny but mighty. It has been defying the expectations and has re-strengthened into a major hurricane. Matter of fact, it is likely to re-intensify, maybe with peak winds of 140 miles per hour again. So it was expected to just be weakening from this point onwards, but no, these tiny systems, they come with a lot of surprises sometimes. So it's now back to a major hurricane, and fortunately not a threat to land, not expected to be a threat to land, as it will continue westward and will pass south of the Hawaiian Islands. There we have the cone forecast depicting that it will pass well south of the islands, and current winds 130 miles per hour. So it is a Cat 4, and it could strengthen a bit more as we head to later today. And then newly formed tropical storm Eugene off the coast of Mexico. So some of the outer bands, all that moisture in association with the system, as well as a tropical wave likely inducing lots of rainfall across parts of western Mexico. And looking at the latest track of it from the NHC, here we have it. So it's not going to be moving into the Baja California Peninsula. It will be staying offshore, but if it is close enough, it could result in that rainfall increase, even kicking up the surf as well. And so Eugene is not expected to become a hurricane, as it will be moving into cooler waters. So even looking at the sea surface temperature map over in the Eastern Pacific, by the time it moves into those 24, 25, 23 degrees Celsius isotherm, that is not conducive to allow for any significant intensification. So it should just dissipate as we're going to be heading further into next week, going to the middle to latter part of the week. So that is what is going on right now across the tropics, guys. And so I will continue to keep you posted as time goes by. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will respond once I get the chance. And as always, remember to be weatherwise.